Hi, I'm John Molesky, host of Dialogue, on the set of the program where we just concluded a discussion of Burma, specifically about human rights in Burma, with David Scott Mathieson, who heads up Human Rights Watch's efforts in chronicling what's happening within that country. And David, I want to ask you about the role and mission of Human Rights Watch.
Well, Human Rights Watch works on 80 different countries around the world. We're dedicated to working with survivors of human rights violations and documenting their plight and affecting change. I mean, actually improving the situation.
Where are you headquartered?
We're headquartered in New York.
In New York, okay.
And we have offices throughout the world in different parts of the United States, in Europe, and Tokyo, South Africa, Cairo, lots of different places.
Now, I can imagine this is almost dangerous work or clandestine work in some cases, in that you're not welcome with open arms into countries that are abusing human rights. They're not issuing visas liberally and saying, come on in and tell us what's happening.
Yeah.
Give us some insight on how you and your colleagues do your work with that barrier.
We do it in different ways. I mean, sometimes we do sneak around. We have to be clandestine in certain settings. But then there are times where we work quite openly in conjunction with local partners. And then, of course, we do a lot of advocacy with governments and with the United Nations. So we have to be very overt about that. And we do a lot of media work and which exposes us as individuals and as the organisation. But we find that getting that combination right, sneaking around a bit to get the information, and then using lots of different avenues to publicise it around the world, really is effective. It really is a very effective way of getting the message out, and then working very slowly over a long term with governments and other organisations to affect real change. We're not into just publishing a report and walking away from an issue. Publish the report, but then we want to see laws change. We want to see practices modified. We want to see an improvement in the situation. So it's that combination of different approaches. Every situation deserves a unique fit.
How did Burma become your area of specialization?
I was at university. It was an issue that used to pop up in my studies every now and again. I always found it fascinating and wanted to study more, and then travelled to the country in the 1990s and was amazed by it. I've always been fascinated by its history.
Does this become more than an academic endeavour? Does this become a personal cause for you?
It is quite personal. I mean, I have a lot of friends from the country. I've spent a lot of my life working on it. I've seen lots of changes and seen lots of bad things and lots of things that I've worked on that I've seen improve. It is a personal issue for me. I think it's pretty hard to work on a situation like this and not be personally affected by it.
And in the global rankings of human rights abuses, put it in a context for us. Where does Burma fall, and what are the trend lines telling us?
It certainly falls within the worst category, I would say. It's right up there with some of the most abusive situations in the world. I mean, in some respects it might be improving with the changes that we're seeing with the new government, but in most respects, in terms of abuses in conflict areas and just a general air of repression in the country, unfortunately we're not seeing drastic change at all. It's either just the same as it was a year ago, or in some cases in conflict areas it's actually getting worse. What
can somebody do who wants to help? I always assume if we have a discussion like this, similar to your reaction where it's become personal, that there are going to be people listening or watching who care and are motivated. What's the best thing that an individual could do?
I think there's lots of things that people can do. I mean, they can start reading about a situation. For example, they can educate themselves about what's happening, and as deep as they can. People always said to me, "I'll never go to Burma. It's a repressive dictatorship." And I was like, well, you'll have a very different view if you go there. I mean, go and actually seek out what's happening and make up your own mind. I think that's the first personal step. Then there's lots of different things that people can do. I know people that volunteer at health clinics on the border, people that join human rights organisations as a volunteer or as an organiser in some way. And if you're interested in writing or mobilising your local community, there's a lot that you can do. And one thing that I've seen over many years, it's amazing how many people around the world, small communities or organisations, do very good things for the people of Burma, either helping refugees resettle or just raising a little bit of money for a health clinic inside the country. Really good stuff that helps people at at a lower level. They're not a huge UN agency or anything, but really makes a difference when you factor it all in.
Well, you need change from both directions,
Absolutely.
right? Top down,
Yeah.
bottom up. Thank you,
Yeah.
David. If you'd like to hear more and learn more about the situation in Burma, we have a complete 30-minute interview for you. If you come to our website, wilsoncenter.org, look on the upper right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the tab for TV and radio. Click that and you can find the entire dialogue interview. Thanks.